I'd like to say then good morning to everybody and welcome to our workshop where we are going to be discussing live business problems with real-time solutions. Right, so let's begin. My name is Dean Dodd and I'm the Managing Director at TriEdge Education, Training and Development. I'd like to share a little bit about ourselves. At TriEdge, we have a vision that is very simple, and that is to bridge the gap between emerging technology and real workplace technology. We focus on preparing people and organizations for the future of work through practical, accredited skills development, not just learning, but implementation as well. This workshop that we have prepared for you all today is part of that mission. We're hosting this session because AI is no longer optional. It's becoming a core business tool. Our goal is to help organizations move beyond awareness into action. This is the first of many workshops we'll be rolling out this year, all focused on real-world application, workforce readiness, and future skills. Today is about showing you all what's possible and how to start. I'd now like to take this chance to introduce our speakers. First, we have Harsh Sharma. He is an AI solutions architect and technologist who specializes in building real-world AI workflows and automations, turning complex business problems into scalable, practical solutions. Our following speaker will be Relu Kapona, a digital transformation and AI strategy specialist who works closely with organizations to drive adoption, workforce readiness, and meaningful business outcomes through emerging technologies. And finally, we have Ritesh Kanji, a business and AI practitioner with hands-on experience implementing AI across operations, productivity, and decision-making, helping companies move from experimentation into execution. Together today, they'll guide you through live presentations, creating foundational knowledge through high-level explanations, demonstrations, and actionable insights that you can take back into your organization immediately. I'd now like to get started with the presentation and the workshop. Right, a very good welcome, and I'd like just to set the context of the workshop. I'd like to welcome you all to this exclusive session designed to bridge the gap between AI and theory and real-world business execution. A little bit about the hosts before we get going. This workshop is proudly brought to you by TriEdge and AI Certs. I'd like to take this opportunity to just do a brief introduction to you all about TriEdge, as you may not know about us yet. TriEdge is headquartered in Johannesburg, South Africa, and we believe that we are forward-thinking in education, training, and development. We are laser-focused on equipping individuals and organizations with capabilities, confidence, and competitive edge required in this thing that we call 4IR. We are built on conviction that skills change lives, unlock opportunity, and fuel economic participation. TriEdge bridges that gap between traditional education and industry-ready performance, delivering future-focused training that translates into real-world impact. At the core of TriEdge, we have a bold belief. The future of the global workforce depends on empowered, adaptable, and technologically fluent people. In an era defined by rapid automation, digital disruption, and innovation-driven transformation, static knowledge is no longer enough. Learners and organizations must be prepared to operate, compete, and lead across evolving digital landscapes. TriEdge exists to make that preparedness not only possible, but transformative. Our focuses and areas of specialization depend on four pillars, and they are artificial intelligence, programming, blockchain technology, cybersecurity, and IT fundamentals. And you'll hear more about that today. I'd now like to take this chance to hand over to to the next presenter from AI Certs, Mr. Harsh Sharma.
Thank you so much, Dean. I hope I am audible loud and clear to everybody.
Yes, you are audible, Harsh.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I am Harsh Sharma, and Dean has given a wonderful introduction. I come from the space of building AI, scaling AI when AI was very different back in the day. Today, when I hear people saying AI, most likely they are referring to generative AI. They are referring to LLM. They are referring to agentic AI. That is a new definition of AI. Everything else is being ignored. And I come from the background where machine learning, data science, data analysis, those who are coming from technical domains, scikit-learn, TensorFlow, neural network were the core things. So I love to play with this technology in a very deep down manner. Today, I would like to pass on the information about how AI is being leveraged across a lot of different use cases. We will stick to finance, but there are going to be use cases which are more generic and can also be applied in other domains. And we will also understand what you should learn if you are just getting started with AI. What can be the first two, three, four steps that you can take in order to make sure that you're going in right direction, you are pacing up in the right way, you are having all the required information that you need to get started. Again, this is a workshop which is focused on giving exposure about what this topic is, what is the background of this topic, and I am here representing AI Certs, which is a global certification body. So, in case you are getting started with AI and you learned a little bit about what AI is, and you're looking forward to get certified with a certification body which will be giving you skills as well as credibility across the globe, across different job roles. Do try AI certs, give it a look. I will ask my team members to put the website link on chat and give it a try. See which certification suits you. There are, I guess, 60 plus certifications, from beginners friendly certifications to certifications like project management, product management, data management, agentic AI, etc. All around AI. If you are from sales, there is an AI plus sales for you. If you are from quality assurance, there is AI plus quality assurance for you. If you are in agentic AI space, you're an advanced power user, there are certifications for you. If you're a doctor, there are certifications for you. So do give it a try, and more about AI certs later. Let's come back to topic. Dean, can we move ahead with the next slide, please? Thank you. So, what is the primary objective of this workshop? You might have heard about AI so much, but most of the information that come across is very much hyped oriented that, hey, AI is going to take over the jobs. AI is going to replace humanity. AI is going to bring up new job roles, or AI is going to eat out these old job roles, or these are the things you should learn. But this workshop is primarily focused on what AI actually is. What is this buzzword? If you have to explain AI to a 5-year-old after this workshop, my objective is that you should be able to do that. Not just that this is a scary thing, or this is a new thing, or this is a wonderful thing, but more about what this thing is, what this technology is all about. How is it functioning? Why the impact of AI is so much that we are feeling scared as well as excited, as well as there are billion-dollar companies coming up globally, including Tesla's and Nvidia, which is a hardware company, got so much recognition in the last few years because of the amount of GPU usage. We talk a lot about data centers. There are LLMs coming up every 2 3 days. A big LLM organization is launching a new LLM version, whether it is Claude, whether it is Opus, whether it is GPT, or it is DeepSeek, or it is Grok, or Lemma. So many. Some of them are free, some of them are not. Even if they are free, how do we actually use it? What they are made up of? What are other utilities of AI apart from LLM? This is these are some of the topics that I am going to focus on. You will see some solutions. You can straight up apply these solutions in your day-to-day work role. You will get a roadmap, and probably by the end of this workshop, you will get more clarity on what AI actually is and why does it matter. Even if you're not a technologist, why does it matter? Why you should learn a little bit about AI? How is it different from web development, databases, or other core technology products which were not directly impacting any other job role apart from technical computer science engineer or IT engineers. Let's go ahead, Dean. Thank you. So, um, there's a lot about AI which focus on what AI is stealing away from humans, but what kind of benefit it is coming up with. Why everybody is talking about AI? There is a huge amount of increase in administrative efficiency, and I'll give you my example. I'm a trainer. Day in, day out, I am either delivering a training, or I am preparing for my next training, or I am upskilling in one domain and applying and taking certifications for that. How AI is helping me: when I deliver a training, at the end of it, I have to write a summary that what happened in that training, what are the takeaways, what we should remember, what we should document. And that's a lot of work. If I had given a 5 day training, probably by the end of fifth day, I don't remember what exactly happened. But today, I have access to AI tools which are very cheap. Some of them are free, some of them are paid, but very affordable pricing, with which I can just pass on the recording, or they are directly connected to my recording tools, and they can do all of that work for me. All I have to do is supervise it, review it, and say, yes, this is good. And if I realize something is missing, I can add on. So what used to take 3 to 4 hours is now taking probably 3 to 4 minutes, or maybe 10 minutes at max. And I can use rest of my time to prepare for next training, which means faster turnaround time. I don't need a 1 day break between my two trainings. Somebody who is working on administration, let's say operations, let's say sales administration, let's say store administration, there's a lot of documentation that need to be managed. How AI is helping in documentation? There are so many ways. You have a contract, you want to ask a specific thing which is mentioned in the contract, rather than you opening up the document and doing control F and trying to find out across all the pages where is this clause mentioned. Today you have a chatbot. You just upload the document within 10 to 20 seconds, or maybe 1 minute, depending on how big your PDF file, how big your contract is. The bot will be ready to answer every question that you want to ask. It is the expert in that document based knowledge, whatever knowledge is there. Today, AI is taking lots and lots of decisions on behalf of people, including the decisions of approving or rejecting financial transactions. Every time I make my credit card, every time I make a transaction with my credit card, I'm sure it is going to go through some sort of approval mechanism where there is a very high performing artificial intelligence tool which is noticing my behavior, what amount I am spending, which location I am spending, is there something suspicious, assigning it a risk score, and finally saying, okay, the transaction is approved. And tomorrow, if I do a suspicious transaction, it will probably get denied, which is saving me from any sort of fraud. And then we have AI tools which are actually outperforming traditional pairs. So if you are running an organization and you're thinking that, okay, AI is a futuristic concept, not anymore. Today there are lots and lots of organizations which are being executed by a human plus AI team. I call it augmented team, where there are lots and lots of humans as in traditional company, but there are a lot of AI oriented products which are equally taking part in decision. There are organizations, not many, but there are organizations where the board members are actually humans, and rest of the entire team structure is made up of AI driven agentic bots, including CEO. We have an AI CEO in the market. There are a lot of legalities and paperwork and things to be done in that direction, but things like this exist. If you haven't heard of Sophia, please have a look at what Sophia is. I'm quickly putting it on chat for everybody to review. Sophia, this is a humanoid. This robotic structure got citizenship of a country, right? And that's a big move by the country to say, hey, we recognize AI. We are an AI first country. Have a look at that. Next slide, please, Dean. Thank you. So, a lot about, again, hype. AI can do this, AI can do that. But what is AI? What is happening behind the scene? So, AI is not one thing. And I often say AI is not a solution, it is a problem statement. Every time I am thinking to make machines around me intelligent, I am thinking about AI. That machine can be anything: my laptop, my switchboards, my mobile phone, my tube lights, any machine, any machine which is working in an intelligent manner. So, what is the meaning of intelligence here? I am not creating every possible rule and I'm expecting machines to work beyond the rules. For example, if I am learning how to drive a car and I'm learning it, let's say, from my elder brother, he's teaching me how to drive a car. He's not solving trigonometric equations with me and telling me that, hey, look at this turn. This is a 15-degree turn. So you have to move your steering wheel 5 times to the left. There's nothing like that happening. He's just making me drive more and more and more. It's no theory, it's all hands on. He's just exposing my brain to so much of data, so many types of roads, in starting very easy, very empty roads, and then going forward to a little bit of traffic, and then very congested, very narrow roads. So my brain is adapting to all of those patterns. Whenever I take after that learning phase today, whenever I take my car, I'm not afraid of going into any new road. I don't need to do calculus and trigonometry and find out what rule to run. My brain, which is trained with a lot of data, is actively taking decisions, solving equations which I don't know, right? We study a lot of equations in school, like area of rectangle is length multiplied by breadth. But we don't study the equation of what is the price of a car if you want to sell it after 5 years of buying it. There's no such equation that exists. But now, if you notice, across the globe, there are a lot of tools where you can post the picture of your car and some details, and then it'll give you an estimated market price. This is not only for car. This is also for private jets. This is also for mobile phones. This is also for laptops and every other important electronics, and for a lot of other things. The second hand market, the secondary market that exists, valuation of organizations, company valuations. There is no such formula that exists in reality. There are formulas, but they don't work in reality. It's an estimation between the investor and the founder, that what value they are settling in, how they are envisioning their company. Now, whenever you are saying, I want to bring in that intelligence to a machine where the rules don't exist, rules are derived. That is AI. Now, it can happen in so many different ways. Like, same thing with machine learning, where you have a lot of tabular data. For example, you have data of a lot of people in your organization, and are they leaving or they're not leaving. So you are making machines understand that, hey, somebody who is 5 year experienced in the company, the person's gender is male, the person's designation is this, the person's last salary increase was 20%, and somebody like this and this and this did leave the company. So you are running through thousands of such records for machine to understand that, hey, what characteristics leads to churn or people leaving the company, and what characteristics lead to people staying in the company. Very similarly, we have a field of AI which is focused on NLP. How can I make models and machines understand text or spoken language? I'm speaking something to you. I can introduce myself by saying, hi, my name is Harsh. Or I can say, hi, hello, everybody, I am Harsh. Or I can say, hi, I am Harsh. Three different tones, three different choice of words. They mean the same. With my tone, with my voice, with my energy, you might try to recognize and kind of anticipate what is my mood. Am I angry? Am I sad? Am I excited? What message I want to convey. So you're getting all of that information through text, not numbers, not programming language. Making or establishing communication between humans like me and you and machines with the help of spoken language is NLP. You see Alexa around you, you see Google Assistant, you see Siri. They are classic examples of NLP. interact with machines in simple, plain language. It can be English, it is mostly English, but it can be other languages as well. Extension of that is generative AI, where we are focusing on how do we create new content. I don't want to classify something as fraud or not fraud. I don't want to estimate the price of a mobile phone. I want to write a paragraph about a mobile phone. That is generative AI. I want to generate a picture of five people holding one mobile phone each and then talking to each other while looking at their screen, like whatever creativity you want. I want my machine to be creative and not only just answering a very specifically defined problem. This is more generic in sense. This is making a move towards something called as AGI, artificial general intelligence. With this, we got a revolution. The I call it, and I heard it from somewhere. I don't know from where. There was a movement in AI called as chat movement, which is referring to chat GPT. When chat GPT was launched, the people or the group of people who were interested in AI suddenly expanded 100 times. You're a social media person, you're a salesperson, you are a marketing person, you are a tool to interact with, which is chat GPT. And nowadays, so many, but probably one of the initial one was chat GPT. That is the magic of generative AI. And such like we have a lot of forms, I can talk about it day in, day out, but that will take a lot of time. I'll just take one example out of this, which is computer vision. There's a lot of work going on looking at pictures and deciding some important characteristics of the picture. Like maybe you want to take a decision. Maybe you want to classify everything into animal, human, etc., etc. And a classic example of that is Tesla. When Tesla, as an AI car, is running on the road, it is capturing pictures right, left, and center, and then processing them at a very high speed, and then taking decisions based on that. Of course, there are sensors as well, but I'm primarily talking about computer vision part of it, where you're working with images and videos. And such like there are a lot of forms of AI which are there in market. Next slide, please, Dean. Thank you. So now all of that, mechanism, the underlying base knowledge about AI, how it can be used for some real world materialistic use case. So here I have some examples of using AI in financial reporting. I don't know how much you hear it. I live in India and I hear it a lot. You go to a bank in the month of March and you give them some very tedious task that, hey, I have this account and then there's this penalty and I want to fight about that and etc. They're like, sir, we are in the closing month. We have a lot of work. If this is not urgent, can we park it? So closing for a financial institution is such a big thing. It's an every year and sometimes every quarter activity. And that takes a lot of efforts because you're filing some documents with regulators. Some of the actions are irreversible. Some of the actions will penalize you a lot if you mess up. An assistant there will be very, very helpful. And AI is your go to assistant there. Another example, anomaly detection. I already gave you an example of anomaly detection. If I make a suspicious transaction from my credit card, it's going to be flagged. The amount of suspiciousness will decide that will it be blocked or not. So the idea behind this is if my credit card gets stolen and somebody takes this card and go to a jewelry shop and buy a jewelry worth, let's say, $500, it will be blocked, even though $500 is less than the limit that I possess. But that is not my usual behavior. I don't usually buy jewelry from jewelry shops. If I do, then that is my regular behavior. Then it should not be blocked. But if I use it for car fuels, for groceries, for um, day-to-day errands, and then I'm not buying jewelries, I'm not buying art pieces, I'm not buying something expensive, that is an anomaly that can be detected by an AI system as well as a human, but then you can't scale a team of humans to that extent. Dynamic reporting. So we don't need static PDFs. Power BI and Tableau and a lot of dashboarding systems are coming up where AI is jumping in that. I am not a Power BI expert. I know it a little bit, but let's say I don't know anything about Power BI. I'm a sales professional. All I do, all I did my entire life is sales. Now, suddenly my company promoted me to become a manager where I am looking at data of 100 people who are in my team. And I don't know how to deal with such a huge quantity of data. I never created a dashboard. So, one option, the old option is I will hire a data analyst or somebody like that. And then that person will bring the technical abilities that I need. I have to convey my ask. I have to wait for the person to do this thing. The second option is there are a lot of AI tools. I'll go to one of them. I'll say, hey, this is my data. These are my asks. These are 5 important parameters I want to see. Give me a dashboard. And it'll give you a dashboard like you can see at the bottom of the screen, and an even much more enhanced version of that. If you want to see which tools are there like this, so one of the most important tool in this category is Copilot. Have a look at what Copilot is. It's a Microsoft product. Okay, next slide, please, Dean. Thank you. Another use case, compliance, risk monitoring. If you are working in a financial organization, probably that organization is under huge amount of compliance, and there are more than one regulatory body. For example, in India, we have a regulatory body for banks. It's there in almost every country. We have a regulatory body for stock and exchange, for stock and mutual funds and everything, equity. We have a regulatory body for insurance. We have a regulatory body for P2P lending. And then typically one financial organization do deal with all of these 4 areas, the top financial organization. It's very tough to stay up to date with all of the compliances, and they are changing continuously, and then having a risk score attached to your infrastructure. What if you have a team of 100 people who are only responsible for doing this? Every day morning they come up and they see, is there a new compliance documentation? If yes, are we following that very closely? If not, then what changes we can make and what is the deadline? Now, just imagine these 100 people are replaced by AI software, which is doing this thing. And this actually is happening. Compliance is not just there in finance, it's across a lot of different industries, including mine. When I'm educating, if I am associated with AI certs have their policies like my camera needs to be on, my tone of words needs to be this. I need to start my presentation like this. This is a miniature form of compliance, which is good. Now, how would they monitor if I'm following it or not? Probably they will have somebody who's always monitoring my sessions, which is very expensive, which is not scalable, or they have an AI tool which understands those compliance rules. And every time I'm not following it, there is a flag that, hey, we found this suspicious. You should look at it. And then somebody can look at it. So very similarly, financial organizations are also under a huge degree of compliance regulations. It's not just for the organization that AI is helpful, it's also for the regulator. Because if you have 500 financial organizations, how would you do the audit of every organization? You might do it every quarter or every year, but then can you maintain a day-to-day visibility? That's where AI comes in picture. Next slide, please, Dean. So the next slide is about document processing. Documentations are everywhere. Right? This presentation is also a document, and there are lots and lots of document everybody deals with in day-to-day life. What we struggle with is when we need to review documents for a particular question, we don't know which document holds answer to this question. If we know which document holds answer to this question, we don't know where is that answer. So we need to review the entire document. If I got a question and I got the document and I got the answer, I don't know if there is any other document which is contradicting that answer. So it's such a complicated process to deal with document. If you have numerical tabular data, you have a language to work with it, which is called as SQL. But if you have PDF files, there is no language. The only language there you can use is natural language, like English or any other regional language. Today, not just today, since a long time, AI is bringing so much in the domain of document processing, including intelligent OCR. I have handwritten text. I can digitize it very easily. A classic example of that is handwritten bills. I deliver training. To deliver the trainings, I do travel a lot. And at the end of my travel, at the end of the tour, I will submit all the bills to my company. The one option is I will go to a portal and I'll say, hey, this bill number, this vendor number, I had a coffee and I paid $5, and this is the date, and this is the tax, etc. There can be a huge amount of human error possible in that. Other option is I just click the pictures and there is a tool which is going to convert all of this information directly into a tabular structured format. That is intelligent OCR. That's very powerful. I can use AI for contract analysis or compliance document analysis. So you have a long document, contracts, NDAs are really very long, and you can analyze what typical questions they are answering. Is my organization under the umbrella of this contract or not, etc. I can use AI to clean the data, remove duplicate files, update the new files, update the old files with new files, etc., etc., by processing the text in them without having almost zero human intervention. There can be human intervention, but that can be very, very less. Next slide, please, Dean. So next is decision support. Now imagine you're running an organization and you are supposed to take strategic and tactical decisions. There can be a lot of scenarios. What if I do this? What if I do that? What if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? That scenario modeling or simulation can today be done in a lot of different AI tools. This is typically called as what if analysis. Cognitive insights. You are looking at a situation, it's pretty much possible that you miss to look at that situation from one particular angle. And that angle can be covered by another teammate, and that teammate can be an AI teammate as well. You have dashboards. We spoke about dashboards. We don't need to work with static data. You are able to convert any tabular data, even non-tabular data, to a very interactive Power BI or a Tableau dashboard or an Excel dashboard as well, for that matter. Next slide, please. So, with all of that information, right? So much to learn, so much uh, is there which AI can offer. There is still a huge amount of skilling gap. As a trainer, I see where the learners are, what they want to do, how we can achieve that. Of course, a lot of job openings are there, but at the same time, there are not as many people who are able to fill up that job opening really, really well. So it's very important that today we learn the skills which are relevant for this sort of AI workload. And what are those skills? One of them is definitely prompt engineering. I often say that prompting is the new programming language. Today, Java or Python or C++, 10 years back, it used to be a flex that I know 10 programming language. Today, you don't need any of them. If you understand them at high level, you can create wonderful, scalable websites and host them much better than somebody who knows 10 programming languages. Right? At least for most of the scenarios, you will be able to handle it with a good prompt. If you know how to prompt the model, most of your tasks are done. Right? As I said, you don't know Power BI, you have data, you want to convert it to dashboard, just ask your LLM. And the language with which you're going to ask, that is called as prompt. And that prompt needs to be really, really good. The topic, the study of refining your prompt is referred as prompt engineering. That's one of the most important skill. Another is critical oversight. We are using AI left, right, and center, but there is a critical need that a team of humans, maybe a small team, is reviewing what AI is actually doing. And apart from just reviewing it from the lens of how many percentage of times it was correct, we should also look for why it was incorrect, the explainability part of it. Is there a bias? Is AI unfair to specific group of people or to a specific gender or to a specific ethnicity or to a specific age group? If yes, that needs to be removed for sure. And then finally, strategic thinking. It's true for every technology adoption. If you just go for a very tactical short term thinking, it's not going to land right. Of course, a good way is plan it in the right way, how you're going to learn it, how you're going to implement it, what benefits you're going to get, not necessarily next month or next quarter, but probably in next 2 years, probably in next 5 years. Next slide, please, Dean. Thank you. And that is all from my side. Thank you, everybody. I am here. I'll be passing on this presentation to Raluca, and then we will come back to question answers towards the very end. Thank you.
Thank
Over to you,
you.
Raluca.
Thank you. Good morning to everybody. Very exciting moments we live in our present history. AI represents a fantastic development of technologies and creates, of course, the background, the environment of fourth industrial revolution. Yes, even fifth industrial revolution, but we don't talk about it. Technological transformation is very accelerated, and of course, what we get a fantastic economic impact, but not only economic impact, the social impact, the way we live our lives, the way we produce our goods, the way we take care of our health. Everything is changed, including the need to skill ourselves, to learn to use AI and to learn to use, not only to use, to create new AI models. So this is what it is about. It's a small picture about all the technologies that are part of fourth industrial revolution that is built on the third industrial revolution. It's not only finished, yes, and now we start from a certain point. It's called, the starting point is 2000, year 2000, but not only. Because in 1956 was in Dartmouth, first time when they defined artificial intelligence, like the notion, like the concept, yes. And after it, after 2000, 2012, the moment when deep learning started, and of course, 2021, 22 with ChatGPT, generative AI, and so on. So, what is industrial revolution? It's a moment when new technologies are replacing on a fast speed older technologies, new technological systems. They are taking place in a short period of time, and they trigger, of course, production in society, governments, and economic organization. Fourth industrial revolution is characterized by very fast development, accelerated. It's called exponential growth. And this rapid application and diffusion produce fantastic system of social transformation. So how is more or less from the futuristic point of view, how a factory using AI tools and technologies is looking like? So what are the characteristics or for industrial revolution is, of course, velocity. Like I said, fantastic velocity. Everything is changing very fast. This system integration, so there are three big systems: physical, digital, and the biological systems that are integrating now. If you remember the Neuralink is an example of integration of these three systems. Creates a lot of disruption and creates a lot of pressure of the way we live our lives. Yes, and we bring our contribution. The differentiation from the prior revolution is that now like in the book of Stephen Rifkin, he was talking first about third industrial revolution, and he noticed that between new ways of communications and new type of energies, it's a kind of relation in each and every industrial revolution. First, in the industrial revolution, it's about steam, water, mechanic energy, and printing press. The second one is telegraph, telephone, and the new energy, electricity. The third one, it's about internet and renewable energies. And the fourth one, it's about convergence into intelligence automation and data ecosystems. So, fourth industrial revolution builds on digital infrastructure, integrates physical, biological, and digital systems. What is the scope and the scale of this impact of artificial intelligence? The scope and scale belongs to every industry, in every country, entire production systems. It's about government structures and labor markets. Now, labor markets, jobs are affected. Yes, are affected, as you can see in that graph. It says then 25% of the jobs that are repetitive will be lost in South Africa in the following years, but new jobs, also 25% of them will be in the spheres and skills that are with high knowledge and expertise. So it's a shift between the repetitive jobs that will be lost and the high skilled jobs that will be an opportunity for this. So you can see it's very profitable, very efficient to use these technologies from fourth industrial revolution, because it's a big gap, big jump in GDP. The GDP is more or less more than 25-30% increase because of this application of artificial intelligence and the technologies that are correlated. It's now it's image of for industrial revolution is all the key technologies that are belonging to fourth industrial revolution: cloud computing, additive printing, cyber security, robots, autonomous robots, all the new technologies that are working together with artificial intelligence. So, as you can see, there are strategic benefits. AI, it's a strategic development, must be a strategic development for companies, not a motivation to use shiny technologies. So, it's not longer a buzzword, it's a driver of industrial resilience. The driver of industrial resilience, as you can see here, if we look to efficiency in smart grids, IoT, Internet of Things that are controlling and using sensors in many projects, will save a lot of energy, 20%, using artificial intelligence. Also, productivity, autonomous robotics will create productivity that will push 30% from industrial output. Safety, it's about how many accidents, not only physical safety, we talk about cybersecurity, but here we talk about workplace injuries, because using autonomous robots, cobots are called now, collaborative robots, together with humans in factories will decrease the number of injuries. And very important, the innovation cycle will be very short. From decades, will take place to go to achieve innovation and go to the market very, very short, several years, not decades like before. So time to the market will be shorter. So it's now very interesting. I'd like you to, this is from World Economic Forum, what they present about Fourth Industrial Revolution.
We are wondering what is happening to the world. Everything is changing.
The very idea of human being some sort of natural concept is really going to change.
Our bodies will be so high-tech, we won't be able to really distinguish between what's natural and what's artificial.
Inside our own heads is the most complex arrangement of matter in the known universe.
You might ask yourself, can we get to be superhumans?
The original Industrial Revolution was driven by the discovery that you could use steam engines to do all kinds of interesting things.
But that was followed by additional revolutions for electricity and computers and communications technology. We're now in the early stages of the fourth industrial revolution, which is bringing together digital, physical, and biological systems.
One of the features of this fourth industrial revolution is that it doesn't change what we are doing, but it changes us.
With the ability to visualize brain activity, for example, through a simple consumer-based EEG device, it gives us access to ourselves in ways that we've never before thought possible. It unlocks the black box that is the brain and enables us to really, truly be able to realize an identity that is aspirational.
There's now a scientific foundation for the effects of mindfulness on the brain, on the genome, on biological aging. And when the human mind does know itself, then you get the potential for a new renaissance that restructures itself in terms of our relationship to life, our relationship to the planet, our relationship to work.
We need a different economic model. And by that I don't mean capitalism versus communism. What I'm talking about is a shift in the system along the lines of the two big changes that happened in the 20th century, Keynesianism, with a much greater focus on health and education and the role of government working with business, and then a reaction against that in late century to neoliberalism, where the focus was on free markets, freedom of the individual, and getting governments out of the way. We need a shift to a new system that will allow us to meet the basic needs of every human on the planet, that will live within planetary means, that will be fairer, and that will be focused as its key goal, not on growth per se, but on maximizing human well-being. And history tells us that a values shift is triggered by creation of a new story about how we want to live.
I see the circular economy as something which fits very closely with mankind's goal to be innovative and creative and to always progress. We can use asset tracking, we can use IT, we can use 3D printing to enable this different economic model to recover materials, feed them back into the economy, and really to decouple growth from the resource constraints we have.
The reason we live in cities is not different today than it was 10,000 years ago. Even if we have got networks connecting us, we still want to have places where we meet in person. So this means the place where we work and the place where we live are much closer to each other, a city where we don't need to have big supply chains in order to produce things, where many things can be sourced locally thanks to 3D printing and robotics. So if we're able to do something to transform cities, to make them more efficient, then the impact can be huge.
Think about the prospect of getting rid of plastics. We must not only be inspired or informed by nature, but actually use natural organisms with which to design products and building parts. Only instead of varying material properties, we're varying biological functionality.
Design is critical today because it's the first signal of human intention. So the question of adding quality to quantity, it isn't a matter of simply circulating things that are potentially toxic. It's circulating things that are safe and healthy for all generations. So the goal is no longer, I want to be less bad, less monotonous, less unsafe, less unjust. It's really about a diverse, safe, healthy, and just world with clean air, clean water, clean soil, clean energy.
Together we are fighting to preserve our fragile climate from irreversible damage and devastation of unthinkable proportions.
If we think about the original Industrial Revolution, it was an energy revolution. I like to think of it as a kind of bookending of a period in human history during which we used fossil fuels, and it worked very well for us for a long time. But now we have to bring that to an end. We have energy technologies that can power our civilization: solar, wind, biomass. So then the question is, well, how do we get grid integration? Maybe the wind is blowing in Denmark, the sun is shining in Germany, and now you can move that electricity through an integrated grid. You can supply energy to everyone who needs it, and you can supply energy at all times.
Walking around, you do see different stuff, as far as like the body marriage line. They use a lot of things that help them lift up and move things to the car. You just sit there and, program something, and if it has its own set mind to go ahead and do everything. And then as humans, we just come in and take the extra step to help the technology.
It's not the cure-all for everything. There's definitely a lot of things where people perform the operation better, but certainly for the right applications, robotics are a huge improvement for the process.
The prediction of 5 million jobs lost by 2020 to technology is serious, but it's not the main question. Construction, manufacturing, services, public health and education, these industries will still exist. The main question is, what will be the future of work? How will we define work? How will we share the wealth?
From the viewpoint of the labor or jobs, now we really need new education or new training.
We're working with a World in Motion and First Robotics, trying to encourage,
So Klaus Schwab said about artificial intelligence and this moment in history, in development of history, said that from now on, not the big fish will eat the small fish, but the fast fish will eat the slow one. So it's about acceleration, it's about speed, how we respond to changes. This is very important. And of course, there are very important applications of AI in action. Who is in marketing can have fantastic help using AI that is no more reactive to ads. Ads are changing very fast, content and so on related to the response of the users, but everything will be also directed in a way that the responses will save money for the marketers and will give a fast response to their campaigns. So this is also in revenue growth. If it's a new application, it's called real-time auction time bidding. We have a little bit 2-3 slides forwards. We have an explanation given by a specialist in real-time bidding. Budget fluidity, because marketers, managers are giving budget, a fixed budget for campaigns, and the campaigns are not successful, but the AI can sort out this problem and find out when something is not successful, is changing the content of the ad and starting a new campaign. So this will be done in very short time. There's also there are a lot of ads that are kept the same graphics, the same exposure, and becomes boring. And AI will feel this from the behavior of the users and will change the content of the ad. Also, very important is to differentiate between users that are only clicking and buyers. So this is called signal pollution, and also AI models are capable and tools capable to differentiate and make that marketing campaign more focused on the ones that are buying than the ones that are only clicking. Okay, so we'll see now quickly somebody to explain to you what is real-time bidding.
$2 going once, going twice, sold to the highest bidder. Hey there, you might have guessed it, but in this video we're going to be discussing real-time bidding in advertising. What exactly is real-time bidding and how does it work? Keep watching to find out. What is real-time bidding? Real-time bidding, RTB, is an automated digital auction process that allows advertisers to bid on ad space from publishers on a cost per 1,000 impressions basis, or CPM. CPM is what you pay for 1,000 people to see your ad. Like an auction, the highest bid for relevant ads will typically win the ad placement. The RTB process occurs in milliseconds before a website even loads. You won't even notice it's happening. That's faster than I can even say this sentence. RTB in advertising is a part of the programmatic advertising process. It involves 3 platforms for ad buying: supply-side platforms, SSPs, ad exchanges, and demand-side platforms, DSPs. These different platforms work together to get ads in front of the user. Before explaining how the different platforms work together for real-time bidding, let's talk about what each platform does. What is demand-side platform? A demand-side platform allows an advertiser to buy ad space and manage their ads. It's a place for advertisers who have a demand for ad space. An example of a demand-side platform would be Google Ads. What is an ad exchange? In between the advertiser and the publisher is the ad exchange. You can think of the ad exchange like a market with vendors and buyers. Google Ad Manager includes an ad exchange, formerly known as DoubleClick Ad Exchange. What is a supply-side platform? A supply-side platform is what publishers or website owners use to help them sell their ad space to advertisers. Publishers use the supply-side platform to supply the space for ads. Google Ad Manager also includes a supply-side platform, known previously as DoubleClick for publishers. How does real-time bidding work? The RTB process starts with you. When you click a link to go to a site, real-time bidding begins. When you arrive on a site, before the page loads, the site's publisher sends available ad space dimensions to the supply-side platform. Then, the supply-side platform looks at your cookies. This is the data from your web activity, your interests, demographics, and more. This data helps determine what ad would be more relevant to you. Next, the demand-side platform assigns a value to the user and places a bid on that ad space based on that information. Just a reminder, this happens between the time you click on a search result and the time the page loads. Finally, the supply-side platform receives the bids and picks a winner based on the highest and most relevant bid. Once an ad gets chosen, the website loads and you see the winning ad on your screen. That's a lot of complex steps in a short period of time. Let's put this into perspective. Say you run an automotive business that sells parts for sports cars, and you want to use real-time bidding to get your company's name in front of people looking to buy new parts for their car. Someone in your target audience who frequently researches parts for sports cars visits a popular racing blog that just so happens to have ad space. If your ad has the winning bid, it will be on that website in front of someone interested in what you are selling. You're able to target an ultra-specific audience with real-time bidding, which can help you deliver an excellent ROI for your business. How much does real-time bidding cost? The cost of RTB varies depending on other bids and what you're targeting with your ad, like keywords, location, demographics, and interests. It's all about what you want to invest in your ads. You can pay anywhere from $2,500 to upwards of $15,000 for a campaign. But
you can find in our training. If you come and discuss with us, if you contact us, we'll explain to who is interested to increase their marketing potential using AI tools and technologies. We are here for you to get the best possible, because marketing must be efficient and targeted properly, because in other words it's waste of money, as you know very well. So here it's a table with some extraction, some summary from what I said before. You can see the reaction of the system is now each and every 50 milliseconds AI tool will give a feedback to the system. So it's also based on gut feeling, not on gut feeling and top line, but on data signals and predictors. For waste handling, for having too expensive marketing campaigns, it's used proactive capping and reallocation of the campaign to other groups of possible clients or other content of the ad. So it's not more static, and testing has infinite multivariance iterations. So because this is AI, it's an infinite capability to do things that are very important for, especially for marketing. Now, very important, and benefits of AI are reflected, of course, in productivity, manufacturing, and other areas, mining sector, many sectors where they need to increase productivity, to have decision making based on analytics, not on guts or history, feelings, and so on, but on strong data, clean data, strong change management, and measurable KPIs. So productivity, it's about knowledge work and routine tasks. It's about introducing in production, in factories, introducing robots, autonomous robots or collaborative robots, cobots. Improving decision making, it's about data-driven action and simulation, and operations optimization, it's about optimization the supply chain, the manufacturing side, logistics, and maintenance. I'll give you some examples of very very big known companies like Amazon. Amazon implemented a number of 520,000 AI-powered robots in their warehouses, and they obtain 40% more orders per hour, 99% picking accuracy, and 20% lower fulfillment costs. So you can see immediately the change. Maersk got predictive AI maintenance for their 700 vessels and got 300 million annual savings and a lot of carbon dioxide reduction in their activities. Zara also, it's about managing their inventory. UPS, through creation of optimization route, they saved millions of gallons of fuel. Siemens, BMW, Johnson & Johnson applied predictive maintenance using AI, and they saved 30 to 50% downtime reduction, paid back in less than 6 months of their investment. Failure examples, because we are not talking only about success. Failure examples were 2 attempts done by, unfortunately, IBM Watson in oncology. They created a system hyped like revolutionary for cancer treatment, but was not relied on good data collection. They didn't analyze data correctly, and the system was discontinued because it was not working correctly. So McDonald's also, they have a problem also. I don't have anything with IBM. I love IBM very much, but they also have a failure with McDonald's. So you must notice that we have failure problems not only, and this is about experience, about learning skills in this area, not to get failure. Yes, you must have success if you invest in AI, because it's taking time, it's a long process of investment and of planning and implementation, and who has the courage to do it, and we must all start to do it, will have a lot of benefits, but must be respected in a way. Of course, depends on data. If you have good data and you analyze and you know what you want to do. If you don't know exactly what you want to do, you'll be confused and you'll lose. Yes. So strategies that can be implemented immediately. I looked for several strategies implemented immediately. Now we talk about no more about generative AI, but about agentic workflow. Agentic is very different from generative, because agents can reason, can plan, and execute across enterprise systems. They don't create only the content, the text, like generative AI. They start to collaborate and to work. There are several processes in this strategy that, for example, implement because this one I'll give you a clip. Furthermore, I'll give you a clip to explain to you about RAG. It's very interesting because many times we have AI doing errors. So when we ask something with generative AI, ChatGPT or other kind of generative AI, sometimes we get errors, we get things that are not correct and so on. So this is a kind of strategy to use your own data and to retrieve this data into your research. So you'll be sure that with your data and with the contribution of generative AI, you'll get an output that is correct. Yes. So you can, together with me, listen to what this user is talking about, explaining to you what
Fit me, Matt and Paulus, made to fit you.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Hello everyone and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we're going to cover a super powerful technique known as RAG, or Retrieval Augmented Generation. Let me show you what I mean by that. Of course, the name looks pretty, I would say, complicated or fancy, but don't worry, it's actually pretty straightforward. So what is RAG? RAG is a technique that combines retrieval-based systems with generative AI models. It's commonly used to enhance the capabilities of large language models, or LLMs, by integrating external knowledge sources. Let me show you what I mean. Let's assume that you are a user here, okay? And what you're going to do is that you're going to pass along a prompt. So you had ChatGPT open, you send or write a prompt, and that prompt is gonna be sent here to a, what we call it, retriever. So instead of taking that prompt and sending it directly to the brain or the artificial intelligence model or the LLM, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do a, kind of think of it as an initial step before sending the prompt directly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to retrieve a knowledge base. Think of it as, let's assume that you are a medical company and you have, let's say, reports from previous diagnosis. What you could do is that you can take this database and you can keep it And now you can send that prompt to what we call it a retriever. The retriever is going to search the database, okay, that includes documents about, let's say, specific that to your company. And that retriever is going to search the database and then is going to fetch specific information. So this is what we call it the first step in RAG, which is the R term, or retrieval. Instead of taking a prompt, sending it directly to the brain, I'm going to check a database first. That's the overall idea, to look up that information. So the R here means I'm going to look up the external source to retrieve the relevant information. So instead of sending that directly to the model, now I can retrieve some of the information from my own specific database. And now I'm going to perform augmentation. Now I'm going to grab that prompt, the initial prompt that the user wrote, plus context, plus the retrieved information that I obtained from my database. And that's the idea of the A here. It's called augmented because I'm going to take what the user wrote plus what I obtained from my database, augment them together, combine them together. And this is the A here, which is add the retrieved information to the user prompt. And now I can take that and send it to the LLM or large language model. And this is the term generation. So now I'm going to generate basically an output using the augmented prompt plus context that I got from my database. That's pretty much it.
Pretty much it what I presented until now. I gave handover to Ritesh. Sorry, Ritesh, we are all late now. So I wish you luck with your presentation, and anybody who wants to ask me questions, I'm still here.
Thanks, Raluca. Let me just switch on my video. Okay, hey everyone, and welcome. So today I'm going to show you basically the AI blueprint that we use. And the whole goal is to try and eliminate as much friction as possible. And I mentioned $50,000 plus in wasted manual hours in 30 days. And I'll show you later on why that's the figure that we came up with. And the whole goal is to see how can we scale up your operations and double output without hiring a single new employee. So in order to figure out automation as a whole, the thing is, why automate in the first place? I mean, things are running smoothly. You think it's running smoothly. Everything is operationally fine, as you see on the surface, but you're actually bleeding money through, or there's a lot of things that could go wrong, but you don't realize it in terms of, okay, you're spending more, there's human error, there's risk in certain tasks that you do, that you're putting out fires on a daily basis, and you think that's, that's just how you run things. But automation is more about scaling your operations without really increasing your headcount. And the thing is, once you automate, you'll find that you have much more consistency. So that means you eliminate variability and you ensure that every task is executed perfectly or close to perfect every single time. Now, if you look at human variability versus AI variability, if you ask a human to do the same thing twice or many times versus an AI, despite if you use the same prompts more or less, you'll get more or less similar outputs, unless of course you change some parameters over and over again. Whereas with the human will change it due to how us as humans feel in the moment. We might give better outputs or we might give worse outputs, and there's a lot that goes into creating consistent work. For some humans, if they're getting paid a lot, they have more motivation and maybe will have better consistency compared to someone that's not paid as well. That's some variables to throw in. In terms of speed, AI can do it much faster, 10 times, maybe even 100 times faster. The outputs are obviously to be questioned. You would need to focus on repeatability. Once you've got that standard operating procedure for your AI, you would have much better outputs compared to if you just just prompted it basically to, okay, do this, and then if you got a very vague prompt, you're going to get a vague response. Whereas if you prompt it in detail, like how you would give an SOP to an employee, you'd get much better output. And once you nail it in, dial it in, you would have much better speed, and your AI will be able to work 24/7 without breaks or delays, going on holidays, sick leave. And there's much more focus. It's not all about replacing humans and, AI does everything. It's also about getting humans to do the more creative and strategic or high value work as it is. So, you have this vision, and rather than focusing on sending emails or capturing invoices, you rather focus, okay, this is where I want to take my company or take my business, and focus on the next step of operations. So how do we start the whole automation process? Well, the first thing is the audit. The first thing you need to do is to internalize what exactly are you doing. So you need to understand and map out every single part of the process. Okay, my daily job involves maybe capturing invoices or creating courses or creating training material. What does that all look like? Then you document each and every process. I know it is a very laborious task, but once you do it and automate it, things will become so much easier. So then you ask yourself, okay, what am I actually doing, and who is doing it, and how long does it take? The goal here is to have a clear picture of the now, the snapshot. And once you look at each and every step and you say, okay, this is taking me 10 hours per week. Why is it taking that much? Some people that still have the old school way of thinking, they're like, no, this is just the way we do things. I know some businesses that are like, we tell them you need to modernize. If you want to scale a company, you need to do things. But they're like, no, this is how our clients work. They like calling on a telephone. They like speaking to a person, which I do understand. But maybe you can make things easier for them. Maybe switch it to WhatsApp, or to have a AI voice agent to call them and get the ball rolling, thus saving you time. There's many ways in which you can automate things. The next step is to identify bottlenecks. So this is going beyond even figuring or even using AI. So you've done your audit, you know what's taking time. Then you identify what are the bottlenecks, where are the hidden costs lying or hiding away. Like you've got this whole process where you have your client, you get an order from them, you send an email to this guy, send an email to that guy. You've got sales doing things here and there. Maybe the act of sending the email itself is consuming time. Maybe you could have this automated, for example. Some things hide in plain sight, like waiting for approval. That's it wastes time. Some people don't even check the emails until the middle of the day, or maybe switching between different apps. You using ChatGPT here, or using Gemini for image generation, using HeyGen for avatar generation. You've got all these different steps. You think you're being productive, but that act of app switching and doing all of these different tasks together, consumes time. So there's a saying that, you can't fix what you don't measure. And we like to quantify the exact time lost at every step of the process. So, okay, you're willing to accept that this takes a certain amount of time. Okay, but this year you think could be improved. And then we would look more into this part of the workflow. And that leads us to identifying the friction points. You might have one here, one over here, one over here on the purchasing side. And this allows us to target the automations precisely where it will have the biggest impact. And mundane is essentially the key word. If it's boring for a human, it's perfect for a machine. Because why let humans do things that are ongoing, and if humans will get bored, and sure, they don't mind doing the boring, low task work. Some people do prefer it. But operationally and from a business standpoint, you're paying so much more for a human to do it compared to an AI doing it. So there's different ways in which you can approach the problem. And yeah, essentially the opportunity is where this is where automation shines by removing these tasks where you don't just save time, you can also eliminate human error and fatigue. And like I mentioned earlier, that humans get tired, they maybe make a mistake. I recently dealt with a client who um, they focus on internet filtering, and they made it aware to me that some businesses have employees that are watching Netflix, they are gambling online, they surfing inappropriate websites as well. So, uh, you know, you you don't need these things on your head to have to police people, and they have basically an internet filtering thing to stop employees from surfing these sites and to get them to work. But that you shouldn't be having to worry about that. You should just want to get the work done. That's essentially what we want to do. And you know, uh, like I mentioned, having humans doing these boring tasks is quite multivariant. Depends how burnt out they are. Um, are they? Is it the start of the year or end of the year? Do they have some problems going on? Is the boss not paying them well? All these different things, and this is where AI obviously shines and can do the work much more efficiently from that standpoint. So where does AI come into the mix? Well, uh, so automation can do a lot as it stands. So you can use basic if-else logic to say, if this is promotional, send it to junk. If this is important, send it or tag it for whatever reason. But you get to a point where these basic models can only, or basic logic can only do so much. And that's where AI comes in as the intelligence layer and bridges the gap. So you can understand context and read unstructured data, sort of like if you scan an invoice, there's a lot of things going on the page. There's a stamp happening on over the amount. There's maybe all these different invoice numbers. Which one is actually the invoice number or the purchase order? So AI will be able to get all of this structured, unstructured data and make it structured. And then uh, we currently live in an amazing time, I think, because before we had to manually build these models ourselves and say, okay, map out this goes there, this goes there, this goes there. There's a lot of human involvement, so that's why data science was a big thing back in the days, and it still is for the future of AI. But now we can just ask AI to analyze the data for us, and it pulls up, its data science hat, and it's able to structure the data, maybe even do some agentic workflows to say, okay, there's only so much patterns I can pull from this data. Let me deploy a machine learning model and train it on this and see what else other insights we can get, or employ some reinforcement learning. So that's just some ways in which AI can help in that regard. So coming to this 50,000 that we see over here, how did we get there, and why is this cost, affecting most businesses, and people don't see the hidden costs? So if you want to estimate how much people should charge for automations, or even what's the true cost, you take the time spent of that person doing the task, the labor cost, the hourly rate, times by 12 months, and you get the annual cost. So for example, a senior role could cost, maybe they're doing a admin related task 2 hours a day, maybe it's checking emails, maybe it's sending data off to someone else, and their hourly rate is maybe $100 per hour, and they're working 250 days, for example. So you can say, you can do the calculation, and you would get something to around $50,000. Now you could say, okay, let's take some of these tasks, and you could decide whether you want to eliminate it, delegate it, or automate it. So you could delegate it to someone who has a lower hourly rate, for example. So that's just a couple of ways that, how you should be thinking. You should be thinking in systems and not thinking as, this is just how things are. It's just wobbly, fluid, and it just works just like that. That's how a lot of companies are currently working. So yeah, what can be automated? There's a number of things, and this is what we also specialize in terms of content creation. Generating videos, that's one nice thing. Like, you can create a professional movie grade advert in a matter of seconds. You can create something that's maybe like a Disney Pixar movie style or Simpsons style. We're living in a great age where we've given the tools where we don't have to develop the underlying skills. AI can help us that, but there's some skills that won't change. Like, if you're building apps, it helps that you are a developer. If you're creating videos, it helps that you are a storyteller or video editor and know how to logically lay out a storyline for a video. Later, that might go out the window as the barrier to entry for certain fields gets low and low because AI is becoming smarter and more capable over time. You can also do blog posts, social media content at scale with consistent branding. We're seeing the same thing here, where two people can prompt for an article. One will say, just write me an article. The other person will be like, write me an article in this style. Fifth grader level, it must be professional, it must be conversational, Spartan, all these different prompts. So a person who knows copywriting will be able to give a much better prompt and get better output and have better skills for the AI rather than someone who doesn't know how to do it in the first place. But, the person without AI is over here, the person with AI is there, but a professional with AI can get maybe even higher. So we're seeing some of these things also help. In terms of document processing, extracting data from invoices, like I mentioned, helps. Automating forms. There's a project that we're doing for Momentum. They're quite a big financial institute here in South Africa, and they're spending 3 to 4 days. I'll get to that in just a bit. And also applications without manual entry. That's also a big thing. Customer support. Having an AI agent have access to everything. You can what's nice about this here is that you just train it once and you can scale it up infinitely, where you can have an army of 1,000 agents that all are trained on the same database. And if something changes, you don't have to train humans manually. You can have the AI instantly upgraded using the RAG model that Reluka spoke about earlier. There's also complex workflows that you can do, things that require doing one thing to the next thing to the next thing. So building these different workflows, like having a video being repurposed into an article repurposed into a podcast, and a LinkedIn post, and a hook, and a YouTube title. All of these things can be strung together in one workflow to be able to save you a lot of time over the year. So I'm going to go through a case study of some of the companies that we've helped and how we've automated stuff in their businesses. So the first case study we did for Resolute Education, and the challenge was that they needed to create 366 educational videos for grade 1 students before the end of the year. And this is obviously a massive workload. So you can decide, okay, I can do this either by getting someone to manually record a video and then you would edit it and do all of that. That's a massive feat, and the cost of hiring that person or that expert to um, talk through everything, that's very costly. The second thing, you could use AI generated tools, but now you're copying an image from here into that tool that can generate videos there, creating the script here. That's, all over the place. So what we have done is we created an end-to-end solution that I'll show you a bit later, where you create the script in one tool, and in the same tool, you generate the images in whatever style you want. And then you can go to the next step where you can create the videos all in one workflow and save that project for later. So everything is done initially. You don't have to copy and paste prompts here and there, put it here and there. It's quite intense without even realizing it. The second case study we did for Tshwane University of Technology, they needed a course created in 2 months, but they had actually a backlog of 6 months that they had to do. They were thinking of manually getting a camera, filming the set, moving things here and there, and recording the entire video. Then they had to come up with a script, which I think they did already. They just gave us a script, and we helped them to deliver this entire 1-hour course in 2 weeks instead of 2 months or even 6 months. And we helped save them from this. So they're quite grateful for helping us deliver this on time for them. Looking at TUT, or this Tshwane University of Technology again, they wanted to create something that's similar to Notebook LM, like an offline, but it had to be offline. So an AI assistant for students to be able to ask questions. So they have this learning management system, and now an educator would upload files. Maybe it could be a lecture, it could be an audio file, it could be a PowerPoint slide, it could be any format that you can think of. They upload this format into this learning management system, or LMS. They would eventually it'll be transferred to the student. The student will select, okay, I want to learn about this lecture 1, plus this code base, and that one they can select just like how you would in Notebook LM. And they would be able to have a chat to ask questions about what happened in this lecture. I don't understand this, and so on. So we created the solution for them, but now the thing is, they could have just used Notebook LM to do it, but they wanted their own solution. And the second thing was it had to work offline, because if they had to use an API, it probably cost them a lot, and they had to use the lecturer had to use his own credit card in order to do that. So if you got maybe 1,000 to 10,000 students using this large language model, you can imagine how much cost would result for this lecturer. And that lecturer can only claim back the cost 6 months later. So that that was not feasible. So what we did was they had hardware that sits in TUT, and any query would come to this offline model. And the benefits of having it offline is that it's super secure because it works without the internet. Besides the upfront hardware costs, you don't pay any API costs, and everything runs smoothly. So yeah, the TUT was quite happy because they had like a chatbot embedded into their learning management system, and the students could also create quizzes based on what they learned to test their knowledge for that. There was another case study that we did for an Australian visa migration company, where they needed to automate a workflow that they normally do. And this is essentially, they had to take documents from a client. They've got this reference number. They put it into this document. They used to put it into ChatGPT, and now they spent a lot of time prompting, reprompting, prompting, and creating the document, going back and forth, back and forth. And that takes a lot of time. A lot of people don't realize that they think they're using AI and being productive and being cutting edge, but they're actually not. What we did was we created a standard operating procedure, but instead of having a generalist agent doing everything, we created these, if you can see these um, nano agents, and each agent handles one section at a time. So, sort of, if you give someone something to do, and if you give them a small task to do, they can do it really well. Maybe not at first, but over time they become really, really good at doing it. Same with an AI. If you can give them a small task to do, maybe a small section in a document, they can do it really, really well. And if you use a larger model, they do it even better. And you give them access to tools like maybe deep research or searching the web. You can try out different models to see which one works well. And then you could have much better outputs than if you had to do it just, with standard with the standard model. The other thing is that happens when the other problem that happens when you use ChatGPT is that you run into things like context rot. The more information you give it, the more you get bad output because it forgets things that you told it previously, and you have to keep telling it, I told you to do this, but why didn't you do that? I told you this long time ago. How could you forget? AI also hallucinates, which means that you think what it's giving you is true, but you have to do your research, and you'll find that sometimes it might be lying to you, or you tell it to create a LinkedIn post, it'll create a completely hallucinated case study that you didn't feed it. It just says that, okay, I've got a client that paid me $10,000 or $20,000. So those are things to be aware of when using AI, and nano agents help solve that to an extent by giving it a SOP or standard operating procedure for each one, and smaller tasks do better than bigger tasks. And then I mentioned Momentum earlier, and they've got this they've got this process where they're creating forms. Now, with forms, you want it to look nice, and what happens is that if one small thing changes, she has to move everything up, and she's designing everything manually, in, I think, using something like Adobe InDesign or something like that. And essentially what's happening is that to create this form takes maybe 3 days on average for a particular form. And I said, why not automate this process? We can, the whole Adobe suite is created on code, essentially, in the backend. Why can't we just put those rules into our own PDF maker and create forms manually? And that worked out quite well. So we're currently working with them to bring it down from 3 days to maybe cutting out the form specialists and having the product specialists just create the forms themselves, ticking different checkbox, and the form gets automated. Or maybe have some agentic workflow to say, I want this, and it'll automatically populate it. That's the dream. Just going back to this Aussies one. So they were spending 8 hours per day on one document. So we managed to cut that by 50% to bring it down from 8 hours to 4 hours. So that means she can do twice as many documents instead of hiring another person. So the company can basically double their productivity and outputs. There's also this, what we use for ourselves and what we are using for another client called LucidView. We created this marketing automation dashboard. So a company hired us to do marketing for them. And I was initially creating the content manually, using ChatGPT to generate images, or using another workflow to create the LinkedIn post. And I realized I use my same framework to build a full dashboard to be able to automate this entire thing. where we can generate image assets, video assets, or content, blog articles that's GEO optimized. If you don't know what GEO is, it's Generative Engine Optimization, which essentially means that if you're searching for something, if you have a problem, you search for it in ChatGPT, you'll get your solution, but it's also linked to another website. It's basically pulling references from Google or wherever, or someone else's site, and giving you solutions from that. That is generative engine optimization. You want your ChatGPT to pull in references from your site instead of other people's sites, so that people can find your site through generative search engine. Sort of like before it was SEO, search engine optimization. Now it's GEO or AIEO, as they call it. So I'm going to show you a little bit of a live demo of something that we've built. I'm not sure how much. I think we've got 10 minutes, so I'm just going to go through it quickly. So this is one that we created that creates content ideas. And you can select whatever model you want from Claude, Kimi K2.5, which got released. So everything that gets generated comes through your knowledge base. And this knowledge base, you can put in your CI or corporate identity, your ICP or ideal client profile, or the standard operating procedure for generating content. You can put that also here, and any other brand guidelines here and there. And whatever gets generated first through there. So everything gets generated. You don't have to create a project in ChatGPT anymore, because everything gets shown up here. You can select which ones you want, delete any ones that you don't want. And what's nice is that you can go into, let's go into one of the ones that we generated. You can go into each one, and you've got a tab to generate images, videos, carousels, articles, text posts, hooks, and then finally post to social media, all based on the same topic that we've been tackling over here. So we have this initial workflow. It could be optimized, obviously, where you expand the prompt first. It creates the prompt itself. You expand on it, and it creates these images. You can create multiple images using Google's Nano Banana or Kling or whatever resolution that you want. Landscape portrait, there's some styles you can, aspect ratios that you can select, as well as do you want it a cartoon style, minimalistic style, Pixar or Disney style, whatever you want, you can put it here, and you can generate the images that you see fit. Same thing happens with video, but you have access to creating different scenes. You can edit them, how long each scene should be, which models you want to use. Do you want it conversational, narrative, punchy, documentary? What voices do you want? And then eventually, it creates multiple scenes with voiceovers that you can review. Or if you want, you can generate the final video, for which you have this video over here. So this is just the final output. You might not hear the audio, but this is essentially what it looks like in a nutshell. We are working on much more realistic video using Google's VO3 and Sora 2 and Kling 3, and there's also Cdance 2, I think. So there's different models that you can use to test rather than being locked into just one platform. Prompting, reprompting, you're like, this thing's not working, and you have like 10 prompts just to get one output. Here you can figure out which one works the best, and then just stick with that for whatever workflow that you have. Carousels are quite cool. We still have that coming soon, but we have some promising technology for that. There's also article generators that you do GEO optimized. And this here has the entire thing where you can have images embedded, generated using AI, with links embedded. So that makes things so much better. And you can select which images. You can even use the images that you previously generated as your headline image, or delete images from this text. And download it as a document to send to someone, or copy and paste it directly into LinkedIn or Medium without having to edit anything. So that's that I found really cool. Creating posts. So this creates it according to a standard operating procedure of how to structure it. I told it create content under 10 words for each line for maximum readability. Make sure that it's uses simple language, 6th grader or 5th grader language. Make sure that we have a call to action. And then finally, we can generate some hooks for videos and then post to social media. So what's cool about this dashboard, which is I think would be a product on its own, is that whatever content you create here, you can push to different social media platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube. Your LinkedIn post is here automatically. You can put in your call to action in the comments, as well as the alt text for search engine optimization. A tool that I like to use is called multi-schedule, where it allows you to schedule twice. So because people won't see the same post twice from you, and that can be used to your advantage. So you can post same content twice, maybe one now and one a month from now, so that you multiply your content output. So yeah, there's various ways to be able to build automation. So you can create it using custom code, maybe vibe code it, but it gets technical really fast. And if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't have any technical background, you could go around in circles. There's also no-code, low-code platforms like N8N and Zapier, where they are great for rapid development and it has visual logic, so it's easy to see what's happening, where things break down. But now you have to build these automations yourself. You can just have AI to build N8N for you, but I ran into a lot of problems using that method. So I would rather build these workflows myself or vibe code them. And there's also new tools like OpenClaw and Claude Code that can help you build these different agents automatically, which handles unstructured data, also handles some of the decision making for you and scales very intelligently. But there's also some technicalities to AI agents as well for building complex solutions. So why we recommend people come to us is normally they would do it themselves. They would hire developers. They'll spend a lot on that. They would spend a lot on trial and error, making mistakes and building things from scratch. And also that's the cost is stress. But people hire us mostly because we can do things for you, and we've done these automations before. We've tested them. And we've got our corporate automation library where we have around 60 plus pre-built workflows ranging from sales to marketing to content creation, all of these different things that we've built using N8N and also skills for OpenClaw and Claude Code that you can just integrate and have these SOPs built into your AI. And yeah, we've got proven return on investment and worked with our clients as well. And all of this at a fraction of the cost. So it's got one more slide and before I wrap up. Yeah, so we've discussed the return on investment on automation. You get speed, you got efficiency. Don't have to worry about hiring more people. You can have multiple agents handling different areas of the business. You get much more consistency in terms of quality, less human error, which means less risk for your business. But it's best to have a human in the loop and the human operating the tool itself, because you want to make sure that the quality is reviewed. That's the main thing that you need to keep aware of, because AI is not perfect, but it can do a lot more in a shorter span of time, and you can shift your focus from keeping the lights on to more scaling your company and innovation and growth. So rather work towards a business that can run itself. So yeah, that's it from me. My name is Ritesh Ganji, Director of Augmented AI. We have over 61,000 followers on LinkedIn, over 121 followers on YouTube, subscribers on YouTube. And yeah, if you want, you can scan this QR code. We do have limited capacity for this month, so we can only onboard 3 new clients this month. We're currently busy with Momentum's project, which is quite big. And yeah, if you guys have any questions later on or now, I'm happy to answer them. But for now, I'll just hand over to Dean.
Super, Ritesh. Thank you so much. I'll just give another second or two for anybody who wants to scan the code, and then if you can stop sharing your screen, so we can end off the session. Thanks, Ritesh. That was really insightful. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Right, everybody, we've come to the end of our workshop, and I must say, I must apologize. I see we have run a little bit of over time, but I won't keep you for too much longer. I just want to end off by saying, as we close today, I want us to remember about three different things based on what we've heard today from our three great speakers. And firstly, AI is not coming for you, it's here. The opportunity is immediate. The barrier to entry has never been lower. I know there were different levels of, cognitive discussion that happened today or presentations that were done. But really, the question is not if you engage with it, but how fast you move. Secondly, AI does not replace people. And I heard each of the three speakers note that. It augments them. The professionals who win in this new era are the ones who learn how to work with it. Those who understand how to ask better questions, design better systems, and make smarter decisions. And finally, skills are the new currency. In a world changing this quickly, validated capability matters. Certifications, practical application, and continuous learning are what separate interest from impact. And the real risk to your business or to your position as an employee is not AI. It's the competitor or the newcomer who understands it better than you. So the decision now sits with you. Will you observe the shift, or will you lead it, or will you take part in it? At TriEdge, we don't just teach technology. We prepare people to compete in the fourth industrial revolution. And that's why we put it so big on our landing page when you go and visit. So I want to thank everybody for their time and their engagement today. I just have two more slides for us before we will go into a quick Q&A if there are any. So how does TriEdge support anybody in their learning journey? For those who want to either begin their AI journey or to improve it, or see how that they can implement it practically within their companies or within their lives. Firstly, we do bespoke training. So the emphasis is not on generic off-the-shelf content. We customize delivery for organizations, industry, structure, and maturity level. So we do have different prerequisites that set out the learning paths. And we always make sure we use practical examples that's relevant to their sector. And that's what's so nice about the AI certs, role-based certifications. And I'll get more on that in a moment. So we like to align training with business objectives. So whether it's productivity, cost reduction, innovation, compliance, or growth, which is exactly what was mentioned by Raluca earlier and Ritesh just now. So we really don't just teach theory in isolation. We teach application in your environment. And the second thing that we do is we implement support, where we stress that training without execution has limited value. So our experts, like some of those who you heard from today, can help you integrate AI tools into existing workflows and systems. As Ritesh mentioned, we're able to guide teams on tool selection, workflow redesign, governance and risk considerations, as well as change management. And thirdly, for all of those outside of Southern Africa, we do have global reach. Although we are headquartered in South Africa and we understand the local compliance arenas that we play in, we do have the capability of deploying training at over 1,000 international destinations due to our partnership with a property company called Regis. At the same time, our curriculum and certifications are globally relevant and always updated. So therefore, we combine global standards with local insight. And last but not least, where do we start this learning journey? And I would really like to encourage everybody who is still online to please take advantage of the offer that we're putting out to anybody who is on the call today, that for all of the courses on our TriEdge website under AI certs, for today only there's a 30% off, where the courses would usually cost around 5,500 Rand. We're dropping it to 3,850 Rand per course. And on your screen right now, the three main ones we spoke about today, which is AI in finance, AI in marketing, or just AI executive in general. So please, if you are interested in enrolling for any of those courses that's either listed on the screen right now or any of those that's on the website, please go online right now and just apply. And we will have your details on record for the registration to be able to apply the discount that's given to you. Without further ado now, I move on to the Q&A, and I'd like Harsh to join me up here again as we end off for today.
Hi, Dean, and hi, everybody. I hope you enjoyed.
Hi, Harsh. I just want. Sorry, Harsh. Go ahead.
Sorry, I lost your audio. So what I was saying is that I hope everybody enjoyed the session. It got a little bit stretched in terms of time, but there was a ton of value add on into this. So I can see some questions already in Q&A panel. Feel free to put more. I can pick questions from Q&A as well as chat. It would be better if you can put it in Q&A. Dean, do you want to go on with something before we take questions?
No, we can just proceed straight to questions. And I just want to say thank you to the other two speakers, Ritesh and Raluca, for their great presentations today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ritesh.
We can go into the Q&A now.
Yes, thank you, Raluca. So there are two questions in Q&A. One is, thank you so much. One is by Faith Maya, which says, do you have payment? I actually didn't understand this question. Is it about the finance and AI discussion that we were doing much earlier? Because this question is posted around an hour back. So if you can elaborate more on this question, I would be able to be in a better position to answer it more closely. If your question was about discount and fees of the course, it is probably already answered in the previous slide by Dean. Next question is standard operating procedure for AI use. Can you please elaborate more? Now, okay, let me put it this way. If I run an organization and I am enabling my team members to use AI, I don't want AI to be used as an individual skill. So if person A knows so and so things about AI, they can use it. Person B knows less or more about AI, they use it in a different way. Rather, I want AI to be leveraged as an enterprise ability. I want the network team of my company, the IT team of my company, to have full control on what is being rolled out, what people are using AI for. AI, or I should say, people or team exposing data of company and confidential data on AI platforms. So there should be a clear regulation on which products are allowed, which products are not allowed, what type of data you can put on the chat of those products if it's an LLM, what type of data should be kept confidential all the time. Is that product giving you an enterprise data protection barrier or not? Are you using the free version or a paid version? If you are using a free version, are you using it from your personal account or professional account? So all of these makes up the IT policies. Just like you have IT policy for almost everything else, you will have an IT policy or an operating procedure for AI as well. Got another question in terms of department organization, even for a nation. Exactly, Rashadul. I hope my answer helped you in that. Just like every company would be willing to have these IT policies, and there are more and more of those coming. Even nations and governments are interested in having the nationwide IT policy. So you see GDPR getting very famous in Europe.
We have protocols like HIPAA and CCPA getting very, very famous and very useful in California and other regions of USA. And there are such protocols coming up every now and then in different parts of the globe where there are restrictions. Nowadays, we are working on cross-border data movement. I live in India. I use an LLM which is made by an American company. I don't know where the servers are hosted. I don't know my queries are going to which country for resolution, and then the answer is coming back. My country's government and the IT department, the nation's IT department, can put up restrictions on this. There have been restrictions on it. These restrictions vary from country to country. So, of course, this is something you have to look at in specifically in your context. But I hope the answer helped you. Got another question by Balaji. Would like to have more discussion on real broadcast quality production, implementation of AI tools in use of AI in dubbing, use of AI in editing, designing content, use of AI on MCR scheduling operation. Okay. This looks like a very niche topic, little bit away from the concept of this webinar, which was more around finance. I would suggest you there are two possible solutions. One, you can contact TriAge and they can give you a very bespoke, very custom solution. It can be a training solution, it can be a consulting solution as you want it. The second option is you can explore AI certs. We have courses in AI certs which are around AI plus video, AI plus audio, AI plus sound engineering. Probably those courses will be going to help you out on this. So both the options are there. If you don't like the standard courses, if they are not fitting very, very well in your ask, you can go ahead with custom courses. Please reach out to the dedicated channels which are mentioned on the screen right now. You have email ID of both TriAge and AI certs. You can give it a try. Anybody else who have any type of questions, you are a little bit confused on what AI can do, what kind of positive impacts will be there, what kind of negative impacts will be there, etc., etc. Feel free to put it on chat or the Q&A section.
Thanks, Harsh. I'm not seeing anything else come through at the moment. I think we'll give it another minute, and if nothing else comes through, we'll be sure that people can still send through their queries to the emails that's listed on the screen right now, and we'll be sure to get back to you.
Absolutely, Dean.
Right, everybody, it looks like that is then the end of our presentation and workshop today. Thank you so much for sticking it out. I'm sure all the information that you've been able to get today is going to be really useful. And we look forward to seeing you all again at our next workshop. Have a great day further and enjoy the rest of your week. Sorry, and one last more shout out. Thank you to all the presenters, Ritesh, Raluca. It was really, and Harsh, was really great to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you, everybody, for having a great time investment. And I hope we will be able to give you good ROI on your time.